The rope bit into Clara Whitman's wrists as the men yanked her off her feet and dragged her face first through the dirt of Silver Creek. She did not scream. She would not give them that. Spit struck her cheek. A boot caught her ribs. The Reverend's voice rose above the jeering crowd, calling her cursed, calling her barren, calling her the reason Jonas Whitman lay 6 feet under the cold Arizona ground. And Clara dragged like a dead dog through her own town, finally lifted her head, looked the Reverend dead in the eye and said, "You bury a man with lies." Reverend, and the lies come back wearing his face. Before we go any further, my friends, if this story already has its hook in your heart, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and tap that little bell so you don't miss a single chapter of what's coming. Stay with me all the way to the end and down in the comments. Tell me what town or country you're listening from tonight, because I love seeing how far Clara's story travels. Now friends, settle in. Silver Creek is just getting started. "Quiet her!" the Reverend roared. "Drag her on." "Yes, sir, Reverend," said the man on the rope, Hank Wills, who'd bought eggs from Clara's mama before the world turned on the Whitman name. "Come on, woman. Up." "My name's Clara," she said. "You knew it last Sunday." "Walk or be dragged. Your choice." "You already chose for me." Hank gave the rope another tug, and she went down hard on her knees in the street. The crowd whooped like she was a calf at a county fair. Somewhere a woman crossed herself. Somewhere else a boy laughed. "Look at her!" shouted Mrs. Pritchard, the dressmaker who'd once measured Clara's waist for a Christmas gown and now stood with her arms folded like a magistrate. Not a tear in her eye. Not one. "That ain't a woman, Reverend. That's a stone." "Stones don't bleed, Mrs. Pritchard," Clara said. "Then bleed quiet." "Eleanor." The dressmaker flinched. Nobody had called her Eleanor in the open street in 20 years. "Drag her on," the Reverend said. Hank pulled. Clara went forward on her knees, then her elbows, then her face again, and the dust of Silver Creek filled her mouth like a second tongue. "Reverend Cole," called a man named Bullard, who ran the feed store. "Where are we taking her?" "To the post." "Not the post, Reverend." "To the post, Mr. Bullard. To stand till sundown." "Reverend, that's for cattle thieves." "That is for sin, Mr. Bullard, and sin wears many coats." A murmur ran through the crowd. Even Bullard hushed. "Stop," Clara said. Nobody stopped. "Stop. I'll walk." "Too late for walking," said Hank. "I'll walk, Hank. Drop the rope, and I'll walk to your post on my own 2 feet. I'm not afraid of your post." "Reverend," Hank looked over his shoulder. "Drag her." Clara closed her eyes. She felt the rope cut deeper. She felt a stone scrape her hip. She felt her dress tear at the knee where she'd patched it twice already, the patches her mama had taught her with a thimble Jonas had bought at the trading post the spring before he died. Jonas who'd been kind once. Jonas who'd been weak the rest of the time. "Reverend," she said. Silence. "Reverend, ask Doc Henley what killed Jonas." "I will not." "Ask him." Silence. "Pneumonia, Reverend, not me. Pneumonia and whiskey and a stove he wouldn't fix when I begged him. Doc Henley wrote it on the paper. You signed the paper, Reverend. You signed it yourself." "I will not be lectured by a barren woman." "Then don't lecture me." "Mrs. Whitman, don't you, Mrs. Whitman, me. Not while I'm in the dirt. Either call me Clara or call me ma'am, or shut your mouth, Reverend." The crowd gasped. Some of the men laughed despite themselves, and then looked at their wives and stopped. The Reverend's face went the color of brick. "Mr. Wills," he said, very quiet. "Drag her harder." Hank hesitated. "Mr. Wills." "Reverend, she's already bleeding." "Mr. Wills, are you a man of God or are you not?" Hank wrapped the rope around his fist a second time. He set his shoulders. He stepped forward. "That's enough," said a voice from somewhere in the crowd. Nobody listened. "That's enough," the voice said again louder. This time heads turned. A wagon had stopped at the edge of the square. A man sat on the bench, reins easy in one gloved hand. He did not climb down. Not yet. "Carter," said Hank, and tipped his hat with the hand not holding the rope. "Mr. Carter, didn't see you ride in." "I noticed. This here's church business." "This here," said Elias Carter, "is a woman in the dirt. Reverend Cole's authority. Reverend Cole's authority don't reach my wagon, Hank. Step away from the rope." "I can't do that, Mr. Carter." "You can. You just won't." The Reverend turned. "Mr. Carter, this is a sanctified proceeding. I will ask you to drive on." "Ask all you like, Reverend. This woman, I see the woman, is under discipline. I see the rope." Clara, on her stomach in the street, turned her head just enough to see boots she didn't know worn dusty, a small pair next to them, and another small pair next to that. 2 small pairs, children's boots. "Daddy," said a girl's voice, very clear, very near. "Daddy, why is the lady on the ground?" "Elsie, get back in the wagon, sugar." "Daddy, she's bleeding." "I see it. Back in the wagon." "Daddy, who tied her?" "Anna. Wagon. Now." But the twins did not get back in the wagon. Clara heard them come closer. Small, fast footsteps, the kind only children make, the kind that don't know yet that streets can hurt you. "Ma'am," said one of them right at Clara's ear. "Ma'am, can you hear us?" Clara tried to speak. Dust came out instead. "Anna, she can't talk. Her mouth's all dirty." "I got my handkerchief." "Use it." Small hands, small, clean hands on Clara's face. A wad of cloth smelling of soap and butter dabbed at her lips. "There," said the one called Anna. "There, ma'am. That's better. Can you see me?" Clara opened her eyes. 2 small faces hung above her. Same gray-blue eyes, same straw-blonde braids, same serious mouths. They could not have been more than 7 years old. "Hello," said Anna. "Hello," said Elsie. "Hello," Clara whispered. "Are you the lady that lives up on the hill?" said Elsie. "I was." "Mrs. Pritchard said you was a witch." "Mrs. Pritchard talks a lot." The twins exchanged a look. It was a look older than they were. "Mrs. Pritchard is a liar," said Anna, and said it loud enough for the dressmaker to hear, loud enough for the Reverend to hear, loud enough for the whole street. The street went quiet. "Anna Carter," said Mrs. Pritchard. "You are," said Anna. "You told Mrs. Hill our mama died of a broken heart, and that ain't true. Our mama died of fever, Daddy said. So you lied. So you're a liar." "Anna," said Elias from the wagon, and there was warning in his voice, but there was also something else, something almost like pride. "Daddy," said Elsie, turning toward him. "Daddy, untie her." "Elsie." "Daddy, please, she's bleeding." "I know, baby." "Untie her." Elias Carter sat on his bench a moment longer. The whole town watched him. Clara in the dirt watched him too. Then he wrapped the reins around the brake, stepped down from the wagon, and walked across the square. He did not hurry. He did not slow. He walked the way a man walks when he has already decided. "Carter," said the Reverend, "do not interfere." Elias did not look at the Reverend. He looked at the rope. "Hank." "Mr. Carter, drop it." Reverend Cole said, "I don't care what Reverend Cole said. I'm telling you. Drop the rope." Hank dropped the rope. Elias knelt down. He took a knife from his belt, plain working steel, and he cut the rope at Clara's wrists in one slow draw. He did it careful. He did not touch her skin. "Ma'am?" "Yes." "Can you stand?" "I can try." "Try then. Take your time." She tried. Her knees gave. He caught her under the elbow, only the cloth of her sleeve, nothing more, and held her up. "Easy," he said. "I'm easy." "Ma'am, do you have somewhere to go?" Clara almost laughed. Almost. "No, sir," she said. "I had a house this morning. They burned the porch last night. I don't know if there's a roof left." "There ain't," called a man from the crowd. "We saw to that." Elias turned his head toward the man, just turned it, and the man stepped back 2 steps without being told. "Mr. Carter," said the Reverend, recovering, "this woman is under the discipline of this congregation." "She ain't in your congregation, Reverend. She is a resident of this town." "She was. You can see how she's a resident. You cannot simply—" "I can simply—" Elias's voice was so quiet now you could hear the horses breathing. "I can simply take this woman out of your dirt, Reverend, and I can simply put her in my wagon, and I can simply drive her home. That is what simple is. This is theft. You can't steal a person, Reverend. You taught me that, from the pulpit, 2 summers ago. I remember." The Reverend's mouth opened, closed, opened again. "Daddy," said Anna, holding Clara's other hand. Now Clara's torn, dirty hand in her small, clean one. "Daddy is the lady coming home with us." "Just for a bit, sugar." "How long is a bit?" Anna. "Daddy." "Until she's mended." "Daddy." "What, Anna?" "Daddy, we want her to stay." "Anna, we don't." "Daddy." Elsie this time. Elsie with her small voice and her serious mouth. "Daddy, she don't have a house. She don't have a roof. You said we don't leave folks in the dirt. You said." "I said that, yes. So she stays." "Elsie." "We'll ask Daddy to marry you," Anna said. She said it to Clara, not to Elias, not to the crowd, to Clara. Clara's knees gave for real this time, and Elias caught her again this time by both elbows, this time fully, and she did not fall. "Anna," Elias said. "Anna, honey, hush now." "You can be our mommy," Elsie said. To Clara, same as Anna, right into her face. "Elsie," said Elias. "Daddy, she can be our mommy. She's nice, she has nice eyes. We seen 'em." "You don't even know her, baby. We know her now." The crowd was not jeering anymore. The crowd was not anything. The crowd was a held breath 200 strong in the middle of Silver Creek. The Reverend tried. He really tried. "This is," he began. This is unseemly. These children do not understand—" "Reverend." Elias's voice cut him off the way a knife cuts a rope. "My children understand a woman bleeding in the street. My children understand cruelty. My children understand kindness. Which one of those did you teach them today?" The Reverend did not answer. "Daddy," said Anna. "Are we going home?" "We're going home, sugar." "Is the lady going home with us?" "Yes." "Just for a bit." "Just for a bit." "Daddy." "What, Anna?" "A bit can be long." Elias did not answer that. He bent down, picked Clara up, picked her up like she was nothing, like she was paper, and carried her to the wagon. The twins ran ahead, climbed up, made space on the bench, patted the wood beside them. "Here, ma'am," said Elsie. "Here, you sit with us." "Yes, ma'am," said Anna. "You sit with us. Daddy drives. We sit with you." Elias set her down on the bench gentle, like he was setting down a clock he didn't want to break. He climbed up on the other side. He took the reins. He did not look at the Reverend. He did not look at Mrs. Pritchard. He did not look at Hank Wills, who stood now with the dropped rope at his feet like a dead snake. He looked at the road out of town. "Mr. Carter," called the Reverend. One last try. "Mr. Carter, you take that woman onto your homestead. You take her sin with you. You take her curse with you. You hear me, Mr. Carter." Elias clicked his tongue. The horses stepped forward. "I hear you, Reverend," he said. "I just don't believe you." The wagon rolled. The wheels turned. The dust of Silver Creek lifted behind them, and Clara Whitman, who an hour ago had been a barren widow being dragged to a post, sat now between 2 small girls who held her hands like she was already theirs, and across the bench from a man who had not said her name once. She did not say his either. A mile out of town, Elsie laid her head against Clara's arm. "Ma'am." "Yes, baby." "What's your name?" "Clara." "Clara." "Yes." "Clara, are you crying?" "A little." "Why are you crying?" Clara did not answer for a long moment. She was watching the road. She was watching the back of Elias Carter's hands on the reins, broad hands, scarred hands, hands that had cut her loose without ever once touching her skin. Because nobody's held my hand in 2 years, she said. That's a long time. Yes. Anna, said Elsie. Hold tighter. I am. Tighter. Elsie, I am. Clara laughed. It surprised her. It surprised the twins. It surprised Elias on the other side of the bench, though he did not turn his head. Mr. Carter? Ma'am? Why? He did not pretend not to understand the question. Because my girls told me to, he said. That's all. That's enough. It's not, though. A long pause. The road went on. The horses breathed. My wife, he said, died of fever 2 winters back. The town didn't come up the hill either. Not one of them. Not the Reverend. Not Mrs. Pritchard. Not Hank Wills, who used to drink with me on Saturdays. Nobody. I'm sorry. That ain't why I cut you down. Why then? Because I'm done watching folks die in the dirt while Silver Creek stands and watches. Clara's eyes filled. She did not let it past her lashes. Mr. Carter. Ma'am. My name's Clara. I know, ma'am. Then say it. He drove a 1/4 mile before he did. Clara? Yes, Mr. Carter. Elias. Yes, Elias. You don't owe me anything for this. I know. You don't owe my girls anything for this. I know. And what they said back there at the wagon, they're children. They speak fast. They don't always know what they're saying. Clara looked down at the 2 small heads pressed against her, Anna on one shoulder, now Elsie on the other. 4 small hands wrapped around hers like they were anchoring her to the earth. Elias. Ma'am Clara, I think they know exactly what they're saying. Elias Carter, for the first time since the square looked at her. Just once. Just for a second. Just long enough. Then he looked back at the road. Reckon we'll see, he said. The wagon rolled on toward the hills, and behind it, Silver Creek shrank into dust and silence, and Clara Whitman, who had begun the day as a curse, ended it with a child asleep on each shoulder, and the word reckon hanging in the air like a promise nobody had dared to make her in a very long time. Anna stirred against her shoulder. Did not wake. Murmured something Clara did not catch. What did she say? Clara whispered. Elias glanced at his daughter, then at the road. She said, Mommy? He said. She's dreaming. Maybe. She doesn't know me. No, ma'am, she don't. Then why? Elias did not answer for a long while. The wagon rolled. The hills came nearer. The light over the Arizona land went the color of honey, and then the color of old gold, and Clara, who had not eaten in 2 days, and had not slept in 3, felt her own head go heavy against the top of Elsie's braid. Some things. Elias finally said, A body knows before it knows. My girls knew you in 2 minutes flat. I ain't gonna argue with them. And you, Elias? What do you know? He was quiet a long, long time. I know, he said at last, that I cut a woman out of a rope today and didn't ask her name first. And that's the wrong order, Clara. That's the wrong order for a man to do things. So I'm asking now. Late, but asking. Who are you? Clara closed her eyes. 2 small hands tightened in hers. The wagon rocked. I'm Clara Whitman, she said. I'm 31 years old. I was married 7 years to a man who drank himself blue. I buried him alone. I worked his land alone. I lost 2 babies before they ever drew breath, and a town decided that meant God hated me. I have $11 sewn into the hem of this dress, and I don't have a roof anymore, and I don't know what I'm doing on this bench, Elias Carter, but I know your daughter's hands are warm, and that is the first warm thing I have felt since the last week of November 2 years ago. Elias did not speak. The horses walked. Clara. Yes. You got a roof now. Just for a bit. He almost smiled. She heard it in his breath, even though she did not see it. A bit can be long, he said. The wagon turned off the road at a gate that had no sign on it. The horses knew. They turned without a touch on the reins. Daddy, said Anna, sitting up. What, sugar? Don't tell Mr. Boone. Boone don't need to be told. Daddy, he's at the barn. I see him. A man in a gray coat stood near the barn. Clara felt Elias's shoulders set the way a man's shoulders set when he's deciding whether to be polite. Mr. Carter, called the man, you picked up freight. Freight Boone. Word travels. Word rides slower than my wagon Boone. How'd it beat me home? Telegram. Reverend wired ahead. To you? To anybody he could think of. Clara felt her stomach drop somewhere below the wagon bed. Elsie's hand tightened on hers. Boone, said Elias. You work for me. I do. You drawing pay today? I am. Then take the horses, put 'em up, and go inside. The girls'll need supper. Mr. Carter. Inside Boone. This woman. Inside. Boone. Boone went. He went slow. He went looking back twice, but he went. Daddy, whispered Anna. Mr. Boone don't like her. Mr. Boone don't know her. Mr. Boone don't like nobody, Daddy. He likes you. He likes me on accident. Elias did almost smile that time. Clara saw it, just the corner of his mouth, just for a second. Clara! Yes. Step down when you're ready. No hurry. She wasn't ready. She stepped down anyway. Her legs almost went. Elias caught her elbow again. He did not let go right away this time. You favor your left side. Hank's boot, I think. You think or you know? I know. Right. He let go. He turned. He called toward the house. Mrs. Hale. A door opened. A woman appeared on the porch, older gray-haired apron on a wooden spoon in one hand. Mr. Carter, I heard the wagon. Who'd you bring? Clara Whitman. Mrs. Hale's spoon stopped moving. From the hill. From the dirt. Mr. Carter. From the dirt. Mrs. Hale. They dragged her. Mrs. Hale set the spoon down on the porch rail. Bring her in, she said. Right now, bring her in. Inside, Mrs. Hale moved fast. She moved like a woman who'd been a nurse once, or close enough. Sit her at the table. Yes, ma'am. Anna water. Elsie the basin. Mr. Carter the cabinet. The brown bottle. The clean rags. Yes, ma'am. Clara sat. The chair creaked under her. She had not sat in a chair that wasn't her own in 2 years. Ma'am, she said. Hush, child. Ma'am, Hush. Let me look at your wrists. Mrs. Hale lifted Clara's hands like a woman lifting eggs. She turned them over. She made a sound that was not a word. Mr. Carter. Yes, ma'am. Who did this? Hank Wills tied the rope. Reverend Cole gave the order. The town watched. The whole town. Every soul that wasn't sick. Mrs. Hale was quiet a long moment. Then she said very calm, I will not be going back to that church. Mrs. Hale. I will not, Mr. Carter. Yes, ma'am. She started cleaning Clara's wrists. The water in the basin went brown, then red, then brown again. Clara did not make a sound. Child. Yes, ma'am. You're allowed to cry. I know, ma'am. You ain't gonna... Not yet. All right. Anna and Elsie stood on either side of Mrs. Hale, watching, gripping each other's hands behind their backs like they were holding each other up. Mrs. Hale, said Elsie. Yes, baby. Will Clara stay? Ask your daddy. We did. What'd he say? He said a bit. Then a bit. Mrs. Hale. Yes, baby. We want forever. Mrs. Hale's hands paused on Clara's wrist. Clara's breath caught. Mrs. Hale did not look up. Children, she said, want a lot of things. We want her, though. I see that, Elsie. Clara found her voice. It was small. Girls. Yes, Clara. Girls, you don't know me. We know you, said Anna. You don't, sweetheart. You met me 1 hour ago. That's enough. It isn't. It is so. Daddy met Mama in a dance and married her 3 weeks later. He told us. 3 weeks. We've been knowing you an hour, and we already love you. That's faster. Clara opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Elias, who had been standing by the cabinet with the brown bottle in his hand, turned around. Anna Carter. Daddy. What did I tell you about telling that story? You said don't tell it to strangers. And Clara ain't a stranger. Anna. She ain't Daddy. She's the lady the twins picked. Mrs. Hale, ain't that right? Mrs. Hale did not answer. She was wrapping Clara's left wrist in clean cotton. Her hands were shaking just a little, just enough that Clara could feel it. Eat your supper, baby. We ain't had supper yet. Then eat the bread that's on the counter and stop talking grown talk in a grown room. Anna went. Elsie went with her. They went the way twins go together at once, hand in hand, looking back twice. Mrs. Hale finished the wrist. She started on the other. Mr. Carter, she said, very quiet. Mrs. Hale. The Reverend will send men. I know. Tonight. I know. Boone won't stand. I know that too. Then what's your plan? Elias set the brown bottle down on the counter. He pulled out the chair across from Clara. He sat. He folded his hands. Clara. Yes. You hear what Mrs. Hale just said? Yes. You understand what it means? Yes. They'll come up the hill, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, with rope or with a writ or with both. You understand? I understand. I will stand at my door. I will tell them no. I will keep telling them no until they go away or until I run out of words. You understand? Why? Because the last time the town came up a hill for somebody, nobody met him at the door. And I've been thinking about that for 2 winters, Clara. I've been thinking real hard. So this time somebody meets him at the door. Clara's eyes burned. Elias. Yes. If I leave tonight on foot before they come, you don't have to. You will not leave on foot, Clara. You will not leave on foot. You will not leave in my wagon. You will not leave on one of my horses. You will not leave. Elias. Unless you want to. The room got very quiet. Mrs. Hale tied off the cotton. She stepped back. Do you want to, Clara? Elias said. Clara did not answer right away. She looked at her wrists, wrapped white. She looked at the wooden table she did not own. She looked at the door the twins had gone through, where she could hear them whispering on the other side. 2 small voices going, Do you think she'll stay? Do you think she'll stay? Do you think? No, she said. I don't want to. All right. Elias. All right, Clara, that's all right. Mrs. Hale picked up the basin. I will go heat the water, she said. This child needs a wash and a bed. Mr. Carter, you will sleep in the barn tonight. Yes, ma'am. With the rifle. Yes, ma'am. And Mr. Boone. Boone won't. Mr. Boone will sleep in the barn with you. Mr. Carter or Mr. Boone will draw his last pay in the morning. I will tell him myself. Yes, ma'am. She walked out. Clara watched her go. Elias. Yes. Who is she? She raised me. Then she raised my wife. Then she raised my girls. She is the closest thing this homestead has to a foundation. Clara and she just made a decision about you. So you should know that. What decision? You'll see. Anna and Elsie pushed back through the door, each with a hunk of bread in their hands. Daddy. Mrs. Hale says Clara sleeps in our room. Does she? With us, in the middle, Daddy. We figured it out. Anna on the left, Clara in the middle, me on the right. Did you ask Clara? Clara. Will you sleep in the middle? Clara opened her mouth, closed it, opened it. Yes, she said. Daddy. She said yes. I heard her sugar. Daddy. Sing her our song. Anna. The one Mama sang. Sing it to Clara. So Clara knows. Knows what, baby? Knows she's safe. Elias did not speak for a long beat. Clara watched his hands on the table. She watched him decide. Anna, he said, I ain't sung that song in 2 years. Then it's been waiting, Daddy. He looked at his daughter. He looked at his other daughter. He looked at Clara. "Later," he said. "Bedtime." "Promise?" "I promise, Anna." "Pinky." "Pinky." He held out his little finger. She hooked hers around it. She nodded once satisfied. Clara wiped at her face with the back of her wrapped hand and pretended she wasn't. A knock came at the door, hard, 3 times. The kind of knock that wasn't asking. Elias was already moving before the second knock landed. He had the brown bottle off the counter, the rifle off the hook above the door, and the door open in less than 4 seconds. Clara had never seen a man move that fast. "Carter." "Wills." Hank Wills stood on the porch, hat in his hand, eyes everywhere but on Elias. "Carter, the Reverend sent me." "You don't say." "He says you got till sunup to send her back." "Does he? Or he's coming up with the marshal." "There ain't a marshal in Silver Creek, Hank. He's sending to Tucson." "Tucson's 4 days." "He's sending tonight." "Then he can send." "Carter." "Hank, look at me." Hank Wills looked. Slow, like a man being made to. "Hank, you tied that rope today." Reverend said, "You tied the rope, Hank. With your hands, the ones holding your hat. You tied it." "Carter, I got a family. I got 2 daughters, Hank. They watched you do it. They will remember you doing it till the day they die. Think on that when you go to sleep tonight." "Carter, get off my porch." "Carter, I'm trying to—" "Off." "She'll get you killed, Carter. She got Jonas killed, she'll get you." The rifle came up. Just an inch, just enough. "Hank?" "Yes." "Off." Hank went. Elias closed the door. He set the rifle back on the hook. He did not turn around for a long moment. "Daddy?" said Elsie from the corner where Mrs. Hale had pushed them. "Yes, baby." "Was that Mr. Wills?" "Yes, baby." "Daddy, did Mr. Wills hurt Clara today?" "Yes, baby." "Daddy, don't let Mr. Wills come back." "I won't, baby." "Promise." "Pinky." "Pinky, Daddy." He knelt down. He hooked his little finger around hers. He hooked his other little finger around Anna's, who had come to stand beside her sister without being asked. Clara watched. She did not breathe. "Clara," said Elias, still kneeling, still pinkies hooked. "Yes." "You hear me promise, my girls?" "Yes." "I am promising you too. You understand?" "Yes." "Say it." "I understand." He stood up. He turned. He looked at Mrs. Hale, who had come back in, carrying a steaming kettle. "Mrs. Hale." "Mr. Carter." "Hot water." "Yes." "And after?" "Bed, the girls, in the middle, as they said." "Yes." "And Mr. Carter." "Yes, ma'am." "You sing them the song." "Mrs. Hale, You sing them the song, Mr. Carter, and you sing it to her too. The child needs a song. She has not been sung to in a long time. You will hear it in her breathing after when she sleeps, so you will sing it now." Elias did not answer. He did not have to. Mrs. Hale had already turned away. Later, Clara lay in a bed she did not own in a nightgown that had belonged to a woman who'd died of fever, with 2 small bodies pressed against her on either side, and 4 small hands curled into her sides like roots into earth. The door cracked open. "Daddy, you promised." "I know, baby." "The song." "I know." He came in. He sat on the edge of the bed. He did not look at Clara. He looked at his daughters. Then he sang. It was an old song. It was a song from a country none of them had ever been to, that his mama had sung to him, that he had sung to his wife once, and his daughters after. It had no words Clara knew. It had a tune that was older than Arizona, older than the war, older than the Whitman name, and the Carter name, and every other name in Silver Creek. It moved through the room like water. Anna's breathing slowed inside the first verse. Elsie's slowed inside the second. Clara's did not slow. Clara's stopped almost. Clara lay there with her wrists wrapped white and her ribs aching and her eyes wide open to the dark, and she did not breathe, because if she breathed, the song would end, and she would lose the only thing she had been given today that did not have rope on it. The song ended anyway. Songs do. Clara. Yes. You hearing me? Yes. Sleep. I can't. Try. Elias. Clara. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Why not? Because tomorrow's tomorrow, Clara. Tomorrow's a different thing. She heard him stand. She heard the floor take his weight. She heard him pause at the door. Elias. Yes. What's tomorrow? He did not answer for a long beat. Tomorrow, he said. The wind comes up. Boone says he can feel it in his knee. Says it's gonna be a bad one. Says we got to bring the cattle down off the North Ridge before noon or we lose 'em. All of 'em. Could be. Elias? Clara. I worked a herd before. On Jonas's land. I can ride. Clara, you got rope marks on your wrists? I got hands under the rope marks, Elias. He stood at the door a long, long time. We'll see in the morning, he said. Elias. Clara. Wake me before dawn. He did not say yes. He did not say no. He closed the door. And Clara Whitman, who 12 hours ago had been a barren widow being dragged to a post, lay in the dark between two sleeping children with the tune of a song she did not know, still moving through her chest, and felt for the first time in a very long winter. The small, hard knot of her own heart began to loosen. One slow turn at a time, like a rope being undone by hands that knew exactly what they were doing. The room was still dark when Clara opened her eyes. She had not been dreaming. She had been waiting. Clara, a whisper at the doorway. I'm awake. Boots are by the kitchen. Mrs. Hale put them out. They were my wife's. They'll fit close enough. All right. Coat's on the chair. Hat on the hook. All right? Clara. Yes. Last chance to say no. No. That a yes. That a no to your no, Elias. I'm coming. She heard him almost laugh. She heard him walk away. She got up without waking the twins. She did it like a woman who had done it 1,000 times slow, the weight off the mattress, 1 inch at a time, the blanket back so it wouldn't pull. The girls slept on. Anna's hand reached for where Clara had been and closed on nothing. Then on Elsie. Then settled. Clara dressed in the dark. In the kitchen, Mrs. Hale was already at the stove. Eat. I'm not hungry. Eat anyway. Mrs. Hale? Sit down, child. Clara sat. A bowl came in front of her. Oats, honey on top. Mrs. Hale. Eat first, talk after. She ate. The honey hit her tongue, and she nearly cried again, which was the 3rd time in 18 hours she'd nearly cried, which was 3 more times than she'd nearly cried in the last 6 months put together. Now, said Mrs. Hale. Yes, ma'am. You are going up that ridge with 2 men. One of them is the man who pulled you out of the dirt. The other one is Mr. Boone. Yes, ma'am. Mr. Boone is not a bad man, Clara, but Mr. Boone is a tired man. Mr. Boone is a man who has been promised things by the wrong people for a long time. So you keep your eyes on Mr. Boone. You hear me? Yes, ma'am. You ride beside Mr. Carter, not behind him. You ride in front of Mr. Boone, not beside him. You eat that bowl down to the wood. Then you go. Yes, ma'am. Clara. Yes. Bring my children's daddy home. Clara stopped chewing. Mrs. Hale. Bring him home, child. They have lost a mama already. They cannot lose him. I will. Pinky. Ma'am. Mrs. Hale held out her little finger. Old. Knotted at the knuckle. Steady. Pinky, child. Clara hooked her own around it. Pinky. Good. Now eat. She ate. Boone was already mounted when she came out. He did not look at her. Elias was tightening a cinch on a 3rd horse. Boone, said Elias. Mr. Carter? You met Mrs. Whitman. Briefly. You'll meet her again on the ridge. Anything you got to say, you say it now. I got nothing to say. Boone. Mr. Carter. Say it now or don't say it on the ridge. A long beat. Boone shifted in his saddle. She'll slow us. Will she? Yes, sir. You see those hands, Boone? Yes, sir. Those hands worked Jonas Whitman's farm 7 years while Jonas drank in town. Those hands have pulled more calves than yours have. Now you can ride with her, or you can ride back to the barn and draw your pay. Boone did not move. Mr. Boone, said Clara. He looked at her then. He had to. Ma'am, I will not slow you down. Ma'am, and if I do, you leave me. I won't be cross with you for it. Boone did not know what to do with that. He looked at his saddle horn. He looked at the dirt. He nodded once. All right. All right then. Elias handed her the reins of the third horse. Up you go. Help me. He helped her. His hand at her waist. Brief. Professional. Gone. She was on. The horse turned under her like he knew her. Maybe horses knew things before people did. Daddy, Anna. On the porch, bare feet, nightgown. Anna, get back inside. Daddy, Clara. Anna, baby, it's cold. Daddy, you come back. I will. Pinky. He swung down off his horse. He walked to the porch. He hooked his finger around hers, around Elsie's who had appeared at her sister's shoulder. Pinky. Clara too. Anna. Clara too. Daddy. Clara swung down. She walked to the porch. She knelt. Pinky, sweetheart. Both pinkies. Both. She gave them both. Anna took the left. Elsie took the right. You come back, said Anna. I will. With Daddy. With your daddy. Promise. Promise. And you can be our mommy after. Clara could not speak. She nodded. It would have to do. She got back on her horse. She did not look at Elias. He did not look at her. They turned the horses toward the north ridge, and they rode. The wind came up inside the first mile. Carter, called Boone. I feel it. Faster than I figured. I see that. Mr. Carter, we might ride Boone. They rode. By the time they reached the bottom of the ridge, the air had gone the color of a bruise, and the horses were laying their ears flat. Mr. Carter. What, Clara? How many head, Paddy? 42. Where are they grazing? Top quarter, north face. Why up there in November? Because the grass held longer up there than I figured. I should have brought 'em down a week ago, Clara. This is my failure, not the weather's. Then we'll fix it together. He did not answer. He just rode. Boone fell in behind. Clara did not let him. She slowed. She shifted. She put herself between Boone and Elias, the way Mrs. Hale had told her. Ma'am, Boone said. Mr. Boone. You don't trust me. I don't know you. Fair. Mr. Boone. Ma'am. How long you worked for Mr. Carter? 7 years. How long you been talking to Reverend Cole? The wind took some of what he said, most of it, but Clara caught the word months. Mr. Boone? Ma'am, you tell Mr. Carter that today, before the day ends, or I will. Ma'am. Today, Mr. Boone. Today. Boone did not answer. The horses climbed. They found the herd scattered, spread across the north face like spilled marbles. The lead steer was lowing wrong. The calves were bunched wrong. Everything was wrong. Carter. I see it. They've been spooked, Carter, before we got here. I know. Carter, somebody's been up here. I see the tracks, Boone. Carter. I see them. Clara saw them too. 3 sets. Fresh. Elias. Clara. Did your reverend send men up here last night? Could be. To scatter your herd? Could be. So you'd lose them in the storm and have to choose between your cattle and me. A long silence. Could be, he said. Probably yes. Then we don't lose them. No, we don't. Boone. Mr. Carter. Left flank. Drive them down the cut toward the lower pasture. Slow. Don't push 'em into a run they'll break. Yes, sir. Clara. Right flank. You got it. I got it. And Clara, yes. If lightning comes close, you lay flat on that horse. You hear? I hear. She rode. The first hour she did not think. She worked. She had worked herds before. She had worked them alone, half-starved in worse weather than this, on a horse that had hated her. This horse did not hate her. This horse trusted her, and that was a different thing, and she trusted him back. A calf broke right. She turned him. Another broke. She turned him. The lead steer wanted to climb instead of descend. She rode around him low in the saddle, voice steady the way her daddy had taught her 30 years ago in Missouri, before there was an Arizona in her life at all. Easy, fella. Easy. Down, down. That's it. The steer turned. The herd followed. The rain came inside the second hour. Came hard. Came sideways. Clara's hat went, and she did not chase it. Her hair came loose, and she did not bind it. Her wrapped wrists soaked through and turned red again under the cotton, and she did not look at them. Carter! Boone screaming over the wind. Boone! 3 riders, East Ridge. I see 'em. Clara turned in the saddle. 3 men. On the ridge. Watching. Elias. Clara eyes on the herd. Who are they? Don't matter. Eyes on the herd. She turned her eyes back. A heifer was sliding. She rode to her. She got behind her. She got her up. She moved on. The 3 riders moved with them. Up on the ridge, pacing. Carter, Boone again. They're flanking us. I see Boone drive harder. Carter, if they spook the herd. I know Boone. A rifle shot. Not at them. Above them. A warning. The herd lurched. Clara. I got it. Clara, get behind me. I got it, Elias. She rode at the lead steer. She put her horse in front of him. She made him look at her instead of the noise. She lowered her voice the way her daddy had taught her, the way Jonas had never bothered to learn. Look at me, fella. Look at me. Easy, easy. Down the cut, down. The steer looked at her. The steer went down the cut. The herd followed. A second shot. A calf went down. Just the calf. Just one. Elias. I see, keep moving. Elias, they shot the calf. Keep moving, Clara. She kept moving. The 3 riders on the ridge turned their horses. They did not follow. They sat. They watched. They had done what they came to do, which was not to kill the herd, which was to scare, which was to tell. Inside the 3rd hour, the herd was in the lower pasture. 41 head. Boone slid down off his horse and threw up in the wet grass. Elias did not. He sat on his horse and counted. Twice. 3 times. Then he turned and rode to Clara, who was off her horse already walking among the cattle hands on their flanks, counting in a whisper. Clara. 41. I know. 41, Elias. I know, Clara. I'm sorry about the calf. That ain't on you. Elias. That ain't on you, Clara. That's on the men on the ridge. You hear me? Yes. Say it. That ain't on me. Good. Elias. Clara. Look at me. He looked at her. She was soaked through. Her hair was down. Her wrists were bleeding. Her dress was 3 colors of mud. She was shaking the way a horse shakes after a long run in the legs, in the chest, in everything. Elias, who were those men? 3 of the Reverend's deacons. Did you know they'd come? I figured. Did you know they'd shoot? A long beat. No. Elias. Clara. They will come again. Yes. Tonight. No. Tonight they'll go drink and tell each other they were brave. Tomorrow they'll come. With more men. With more men. And the marshal. Tucson is 4 days out. They lied about that. Probably. Probably. Probably, Clara. I don't know everything. Elias. Clara. I am very cold. I know, sweetheart. He did not seem to notice he had said sweetheart. She did not point it out. Boone! Elias called. Mr. Carter! Get on your horse. Yes, sir. Right ahead. Tell Mrs. Hale we're an hour out and we need fire and dry blankets and the brown bottle. And Boone. Yes, sir. When we get back, you and me are going to talk. About the deacons. A pause. The wind tearing. Yes, sir, Boone said. Very quiet. I figured. He rode off. Elias got down off his horse. He walked to Clara. He took the reins of her horse out of her hand because her hand was shaking too hard to hold them. Clara. Yes. You ride double with me the rest of the way. I can ride my own horse. You can. You won't. Elias. Up. He lifted her. He did not ask. He set her on his saddle and swung up behind her. He wrapped one arm around her front to hold her steady. He took the reins in the other hand. He clicked his tongue. Both horses began to walk. Elias? Clara. I haven't ridden double since I was a child. Then you're a child for an hour. I'm 31. You're a child for an hour, Clara. Hush now. Lean back. She leaned back. He smelled like rain and leather and a kind of clean smoke she could not name. His arm was iron across her front. Her head went against his shoulder and stayed there. Elias. Clara. I told them I worked a herd before, on Jonas's land. You did. I did better today than I ever did for Jonas. Did you? I never did for Jonas. I only did despite him. Today I did for you. That is different. I did not know it would be different. He did not answer for a long way. Clara. Yes. There's a thing I want to say to you, and I am not going to say it today. All right? Not because I don't mean it, because I do. All right, Elias. You hear me. I hear you. Hush then. Sleep if you can. She did not sleep. But she closed her eyes, and against his shoulder with 41 head of cattle behind them, and 3 deacons somewhere on a ridge, and a town somewhere below, planning what it would do. At dawn, Clara Whitman, who had been a curse 24 hours ago, listened to the heartbeat of the man who had cut her loose, and thought very clearly the way a woman thinks when she has come to the end of a long road and looked up. If I die tomorrow, I died inside a family. The horse climbed the last rise toward the homestead. The porch came into view. 2 small figures stood on it. Did not run, did not shout, just stood there with their hands in each other's hands the way they had stood in the doorway last night, the way they would stand for the rest of their lives waiting. Anna saw them first. Anna's free hand came up. Anna did not wave. Anna pointed at her own chest. Then she pointed at Clara. Then she pointed at her own chest again. You are mine. Clara's face crumpled. Not from pain, not from cold. From the other thing. The thing she had not let happen in the dirt, and had not let happen at the table, and had not let happen in the bed, and had not let happen in the storm. She let it happen now. Elias's arm tightened across her front. He did not say anything. He did not have to. The wagon stopped at the porch. The twins did not move. They had been told to wait. Mrs. Hale opened the door behind them. Come in, child. Elias swung down. He lifted Clara off the saddle. Her legs went, and he caught her. Mrs. Hale. Bring her in. Hot water's on. Blankets are warm. Boone. Already inside Mr. Carter. Sober. Mr. Boone is at the table. Mr. Boone has been crying for 40 minutes. All right. He carried Clara in. The twins followed. Anna took Clara's hand the moment Elias set her down by the fire and did not let it go. Clara. Anna. You're shaking. I'm cold, baby. I'll get more blanket. Anna. More blanket. Clara. Elsie. The wool one. From Daddy's bed. On it. They went. They came back. They wrapped her like she was their own child instead of the other way around. Mrs. Hale put a cup in her hands. Hot. Something in it that wasn't tea. Drink. What is it? Drink first. Ask later. She drank. It burned. It helped. Elias was already at the table with Boone. Boone. Mr. Carter, tell me. Mr. Carter, Tell me, Boone. From the start. Boone wiped his face with the heel of his hand. Reverend Cole come to me in June, Mr. Carter. June. He said you was getting too proud. Said a widower with 2 daughters and a homestead and no church on Sundays was a danger to the town. Said God told him so. I didn't believe the God part. I believed the rest. Why? Because I'm tired, Mr. Carter. Because my wife wants to move to Tucson. Because the Reverend said he'd find me work down there if I helped him keep an eye on you. Keep an eye how? Tell him what you said, who you saw, when you rode. Did you tell him about Mrs. Whitman? No, sir. I didn't know about Mrs. Whitman till yesterday. Did you tell him about my north herd? A long pause. Yes, sir. Boone. Yes, sir, I told him 2 weeks ago. He asked. I told him. Said you had 42 head up there. Said the grass would hold 'em till the storms. So he knew where to send the deacons. Yes, sir. So he knew where to scare them from. Yes, sir. Elias did not move, did not raise his voice, did not stand up. How much? $10. That all. That all, Mr. Carter. Look at me, Boone. Boone looked. His face was wet. His eyes were red. He was a man with no place left to hide. Boone, you been at my table for 7 years. Yes, sir. You ate Mrs. Hale's cooking. You held my daughters when their mama died. You rode beside me in the winter of '76 when we lost half the herd. Yes, sir. And you sold me for $10. Yes, sir. You will sit at this table tonight. You will sleep in the barn one more time. In the morning you will ride into Silver Creek with me, and you will say to the Reverend and the town what you just said to me. You will say it loud. You will say it twice. And then you will draw your pay, and you will go to Tucson, and you will not come back. Boone closed his eyes. Yes, sir. Boone. Mr. Carter. Eat your supper. Boone ate his supper. Clara watched from the fire. She had never seen a man fire another man without raising his voice. She had not known it could be done. She had also never seen a man given back his dignity at the same time he was given the door. She had not known that could be done either. A knock came at the door. Not the hard knock. Not Hank's knock. A different one. 3 light taps. Elias did not stand. He looked at Mrs. Hale. I see him through the window. Who? Doc Henley? Open the door. She opened it. A small man stood there. Hat in his hand. Black bag at his side. Older than Clara remembered. Mr. Carter. Doc. I heard. You heard what? All of it. The square, the ridge, the shooting. I heard. Come in, Doc. Doc Henley came in. He took off his coat. He set his bag down. He walked straight to Clara at the fire. Mrs. Whitman. Doc, may I see your wrists? They're already bound. By whom? Mrs. Hale. Then they're bound well. May I see anyway? She let him. He unwrapped them. He looked. He shook his head. Mr. Carter. Doc. I will speak at the meeting tomorrow. Elias looked up. What meeting? The Reverend has called a meeting at the church. Noon. He has called it to vote on the removal of Mrs. Whitman from this homestead, and on the removal of you from the town rolls. He says you have given refuge to a known curse, and that this is an act of civil disobedience, and the town must decide what to do. The room got very quiet. Anna's hand tightened on Clara's. Elsie's other hand tightened on Anna's. Doc. Yes, sir. You are not a church-going man. I am not. Then why speak? Because, Mr. Carter, I signed the paper that says Jonas Whitman died of pneumonia and exposure brought on by a stove he would not fix and a bottle he would not put down. I signed it with my own name. Reverend Cole signed it as witness. And I have heard Reverend Cole with my own ears in the last 6 months tell Mrs. Pritchard and 4 other women that Jonas died because his wife was barren and his house was cursed. Doc Henley's voice did not rise. It did not need to. I am a doctor, Mr. Carter. I have spent 30 years writing down what kills people. I will not have a man rewrite my words from a pulpit. Not while I am still breathing. Doc. Yes, Mr. Carter. Will you say that tomorrow? In front of the town. I will say that tomorrow. In front of the town. And I will bring the paper. I have kept a copy. I keep copies of everything. Old habit. Elias stood up. He walked to Doc Henley. He put out his hand. Doc shook it. Mr. Carter. Doc, you bring those children. Doc, they're little. You bring those children, Mr. Carter. Children have a way of being heard that men do not. If they have a thing to say, you bring them. Let them say it. Doc, I don't want them in that room. Mr. Carter. Yes, Doc. They have already been in that room. They were in it yesterday in the square. Bringing them tomorrow does not put them in. It lets them speak. Anna's voice came from the fire, small and clear. Daddy, we want to come. Anna. Daddy, we saw it. We want to say it. Elsie did not speak. She just nodded once. Elias looked at his daughters. He looked at Clara. He looked at Doc Henley. All right, he said. All right. Mrs. Hale crossed herself. She had never crossed herself in front of any of them before. The next morning, the wagon rolled into Silver Creek with 5 people on it. Elias on the bench, Clara beside him, Boone behind alone, his hat in his hands. The twins between them, wrapped in coats, hair-braided tight faces, set the way only a child's face is set when a child has decided to be brave. Doc Henley met them at the church steps. Mr. Carter? Doc. The room is full, standing room only. Hank Wills. Front pew. Mrs. Pritchard. Second pew. Reverend. Already at the pulpit, practicing. Practicing what? Practicing whatever he is going to say. He has been at it since 7. Elias nodded once. He turned to Clara. You don't have to go in. I'm going in. Clara. Elias. I'm going in. I am done with sitting in wagons while men decide what I am. All right. Girls. Yes, Daddy. You stay between Clara and me. You hear? Yes, Daddy. If a thing scares you, you say so. Yes, Daddy. If a thing makes you want to speak, you raise your hand, like in school. You wait, you don't shout. Yes, Daddy. All right, in we go. They went in. The church was full. Every pew, every aisle, every window had a face pressed to it. Silver Creek had not been this gathered since the funeral of the previous mayor, and that man had been beloved. The Reverend was at the pulpit. He saw them. He raised his hand. This congregation is called to order. We are gathered to Reverend Cole, Doc Henley. From the back, loud. Dr. Henley, this is a church matter. This is a town matter, Reverend. You called it a town meeting, so I am addressing the town. Doctor, Reverend, sit down. The Reverend did not sit down, but he stopped talking, which was almost as good. Doc Henley walked up the center aisle. He did not hurry. He held a folded paper in his hand. Friends, most of you know me. I have caught most of your children. I have closed most of your parents' eyes. I am here today to read aloud a paper I signed 2 winters ago. It is the death paper of Jonas Whitman. A murmur. Mrs. Pritchard's spine went stiff. Doc Henley unfolded the paper. He read, Cause of death pneumonia advanced complicated by chronic alcohol consumption and exposure to cold, owing to a broken stove not repaired in the months preceding death. Witnessed by Reverend Samuel Cole. Signed, Dr. Wallace Henley, November 14, 1876. He folded it back up. Reverend Cole, did you sign this paper? Doctor, did you sign it? I. Reverend Cole, did you sign this paper? Yes. Was Mrs. Whitman's name on it as a cause? No. Was the word curse on it? No. Was the word barren on it? No. Then will you tell this congregation with your own mouth why for 2 years you have walked these streets and told this town that Jonas Whitman died of his wife? The Reverend opened his mouth, closed it. opened it. Dr. Henley, this is not ye, Reverend Cole. Answer the question. I will not be. Answer it. It is the spiritual cause. It is not on the paper, Reverend. You signed the paper. You signed it as witness. You watched me write it. The congregation began to shift. Mrs. Pritchard turned 3 shades of red in the second pew. Hank Wills slid lower in the front pew like a man trying to disappear into the wood. Friends, said Doc Henley, turning to the room, I am one man. I am one paper. There is more. Mr. Boone, please come forward. Boone stood. The room turned. He walked the center aisle, the way Clara had been dragged it the day before, head up slow, not proud, but not hiding. He reached the front. He turned. He faced the town. My name is Thomas Boone. I have worked for Elias Carter for 7 years. In June of this year, Reverend Cole offered me $10 to inform on Mr. Carter, to tell him what Mr. Carter said, who he saw, when he rode. I took the money. 2 weeks ago, I told the Reverend where Mr. Carter's north herd was grazing. Yesterday, 3 of the Reverend's deacons rode up to that herd in the storm and fired on it. They shot 1 calf to scare the rest. They were trying to scare Mr. Carter into giving Mrs. Whitman back. He paused. Mr. Carter did not give her back. A second pause. And I am not proud of what I'd done. And I am leaving Silver Creek this evening. And before I leave, I want this town to know what I know. Reverend Cole has been planning the removal of Elias Carter for 6 months. Mrs. Whitman is the excuse. She is not the cause. He turned. He walked back down the aisle. He sat down beside Anna. He did not look at Elias. He did not look at Clara. He looked at his hands. The Reverend was very pale. Friends, these are accusations, made by a man who has admitted to taking bribes. You cannot. Reverend Cole, a small voice, from the 3rd row. The room turned. Anna Carter was standing on the pew, Elsie beside her, both of them, hand in hand. Anna, said Elias. Honey. Daddy. We raised our hands. Like in school. We waited. She had. Clara had not seen it. Doc Henley had. He nodded to her now from the front. Speak, child. Reverend Cole. Little girl. My name is Anna Carter, and this is Elsie Carter. Girls, you don't. Reverend Cole, you said in the square yesterday that the lady was a curse. Anna, this is not. You said she killed her husband. You said she was barren, and that meant God hated her. Anna. Reverend Cole, our mama was not barren. Our mama had us, and our mama died anyway. Of fever. Did God hate our mama too? The room went so quiet you could hear the church clock. Anna. Did God hate our mama, Reverend Cole? Anna, no, of course. Then God don't hate Clara either. Because Clara is just like our mama, only she is alive, and we get to keep her. Elsie's voice came in then, smaller, steadier. She is our mommy. She keeps us safe. She sings our songs. She rode in the storm. She did not run. Our daddy says she did not run. Girls. Our daddy says she rode beside him, not behind. Beside. Our daddy says that is a thing only one other woman ever did, and that woman was our mama. The whole church looked at Elias. Elias did not stand. He did not have to. The whole room was already standing for him. Reverend, he said, quiet, from his pew. Mr. Carter. My girls have spoken. Mr. Carter, they are children. They are my children, Reverend. They have spoken. The doctor has spoken. The hand who informed on me has spoken. And I have one more thing to say, and then we will go home. He stood. Reverend Cole, you tied a rope around a woman yesterday. Not with your hands, but with your words. You have been tying ropes for 2 years. You tied one around Jonas Whitman after he was already dead. You tied one around my wife's grave when you told this town she died of a broken heart. You tied one around me when you sent a man to my own table to spy on me. And yesterday, you tried to tie one around the one woman in this town who has shown my daughters real kindness since their mama went into the ground. So I am here to say in front of God and this congregation and this church and this town that the rope ends today." He turned to the room. "The rope ends today. You hear me, Silver Creek? It ends. We are done." He picked up his hat. He set it on his head. "Clara, girls, Boone, we are going home." They stood. They walked the center aisle, Clara in the middle, the twins on either side of her hands in hers, Elias behind. Boone at the back, eyes still on his hands, but walking with them. Nobody jeered. Nobody spit. Mrs. Pritchard in the second pew did not look up. Hank Wills in the front pew did look up. He met Clara's eyes as she passed. He opened his mouth to say something. He closed it again. He gave her a single nod. It was not an apology, but it was the start of one. And Clara, who had been dragged through dirt by his hands not 48 hours ago, gave him a single nod back, because she was already learning that mercy was a thing she had more of than the town did, and she figured she might as well start spending it. They reached the wagon. Elias lifted the twins in first, then Clara. Then Boone climbed in the back. Doc Henley was at the wagon side. "Mr. Carter?" "Doc. You ride safe." "We will." "Mrs. Whitman." "Doc. You come see me in a week. I want to check those wrists." "I will." "And Mrs. Whitman." "Yes, Doc." "Welcome home." Clara could not speak. She nodded. Doc Henley tipped his hat. He stepped back. Elias clicked his tongue. The wagon rolled. Behind them, the church doors stood open. The town stood inside them. Nobody followed. Nobody shouted. Nobody threw a stone. The Reverend stood at his pulpit alone, his sermon unread on the wood in front of him, his congregation no longer his. Anna looked up at Clara from the wagon bench. "Clara?" "Yes, baby." Was that what brave looks like? Clara looked down at her. She looked at Elsie. She looked at the back of Elias's hat on the bench in front. "Yes, baby." "Were you brave?" "No, baby. You were." "Was Daddy brave?" Clara watched Elias's hands on the reins. The same hands, broad, scarred, steady. "Yes, baby. Your daddy was brave." "Will we have to be brave tomorrow?" Clara did not answer right away. She put her arm around the twins. She drew them close. She felt Boone shift behind her quiet, the way a man shifts when he is being given a second chance he has not earned and does not deserve and is taking anyway. "Maybe, baby," she said. "Maybe, but not the same kind." The wagon climbed the road out of Silver Creek. The town shrank behind them. And Clara Whitman, who had begun the day with 3 Deacon's rifles still ringing in her ears, ended it riding home to a house she did not own, beside a man who had not yet said the word, with 2 small girls leaning against her ribs the way a child leans against the only mother she has ever had, and behind her, a town that had finally gone quiet. The wagon climbed the hill, and Mrs. Hale was on the porch before the wheels stopped, an apron in her hand and a question in her face. "Well?" "Mrs. Hale," said Elias. "Mr. Carter, it is done." "Done how?" "Done all the way." She did not ask twice. She held out her arms, and the twins ran into them at once, both at once, Anna talking before Elsie had even reached the porch. "Mrs. Hale, we stood up. We stood up on the pew. We did. We raised our hands first. We waited. Daddy said wait, so we waited. Then Doc Henley said speak. So we spoke. And then Daddy stood up, and he said the rope ends today. He said it loud, Mrs. Hale. The whole church heard." "Did they baby?" "And nobody yelled at us." Mrs. Pritchard turned 3 colors. Mr. Wills wouldn't look. Reverend Cole had no sermon. He just stood there. Mrs. Hale. "Yes, baby." Clara walked out in the middle. "In the middle of what?" "Of us, like a mama." Mrs. Hale's eyes lifted over the twins' braids and met Clara's across the porch. "Child." "Mrs. Hale, you walked out in the middle." I did. Then you come up these steps and you sit down. You have not eaten a real meal in 2 days, and I will not have it. Mr. Carter? Yes, ma'am. Carry her in. Mrs. Hale, I can walk. Carry her in, Mr. Carter. He did. Boone climbed down from the wagon alone. He stood by the wheel a long moment, hat in his hand, his bag at his feet, his $10 in his pocket, and the rest of his pay still to come. Mr. Boone, said Mrs. Hale, Mrs. Hale, you will eat one supper at this table before you go to Tucson. You will not sleep in the barn tonight. You will sleep in the back room. You will leave in the morning with a sack of bread and a jar of preserves from this kitchen, and you will write Mr. Carter from Tucson when you arrive. You will write the children at Christmas. Do you understand me? Boone's eyes filled. He nodded. Mr. Boone. Yes, ma'am. You were a tired man, and you made a tired man's choice. Tired is not evil. But you will not be tired in my kitchen tonight. You will be fed. You hear me? Yes, ma'am. Bring your bag in. He brought his bag in. That night, Clara slept in the bed with the twins. Elias slept in the barn. Boone slept in the back room. Mrs. Hale slept in her own room, which she had not slept in for 2 nights, and she slept through to dawn for the first time in a week. In the morning, Boone shook Elias's hand at the gate. He did not say anything. Elias did not either. Boone tipped his hat to Clara on the porch, swung up onto his horse, and rode down the hill alone. The twins waved from the porch rail until he was out of sight. Daddy. Yes, sugar. Will Mr. Boone be all right? I think so, baby. Tucson is kinder than Silver Creek. Most places are. Daddy? Yes. Are we going to be all right? Elias did not answer right away. He looked at the empty road. He looked at the homestead. He looked at the porch where Clara stood with one arm around Elsie and Mrs. Hale just behind. Yes, baby. I think we are. The days that followed went quiet. Quieter than the homestead had been in 2 winters. Clara worked. Nobody had told her to. She had not asked. She had simply gotten up the second morning, taken Mrs. Hale's elbow, and said, "Show me the chickens." And Mrs. Hale had shown her the chickens, and after the chickens the goats, and after the goats the smokehouse, and after the smokehouse the well. And by the end of the 3rd day, Clara knew the homestead the way a woman knows a kitchen she has cooked in for 10 years. The twins followed her everywhere. They did not ask if they could. They simply did. Anna learned to gather eggs the way Clara gathered them, left hand under the hen's belly, right hand quick. Elsie learned to feed the goats the way Clara fed them, by name, one at a time, no favorites. Clara. Yes, baby. You do everything different than Mrs. Hale. Different how, sweetheart? You sing while you do it. Do I? Yes. I didn't know. Mrs. Hale does it quiet. You do it with songs. Mrs. Hale said it makes the goats happier. She said it makes everybody happier. Clara did not answer that. She kept singing. The song had no name. It was something her mama had sung in Missouri when Clara was 4 years old, and Clara had thought she had forgotten it, and apparently she had not. On the 5th morning, a wagon came up the road. Elias was at the gate before the wagon stopped. He had the rifle in his hand. He did not raise it. He just held it. Carter. Bullard. It was Bullard, the feed store man, hat in his hand, alone on the bench, a cloth-wrapped bundle beside him. Carter, I come up to Butter. Bullard. Carter, the wife sent me. She sent this, for Mrs. Whitman. It's a quilt. She made it last winter. She said somebody on this hill ought to have it now. Elias did not speak. Carter, I ain't here for the Reverend. I ain't here for the town. I am here because my wife told me to come up the hill and apologize, and I am apologizing with my mouth. I should have come up 2 winters ago, when your Mary died. I didn't. I stayed in town. I let the Reverend tell me she died of a broken heart. I knew better. I knew Mary. I should have come. A long silence. Carter, I am sorry. I am sorry to you. I am sorry to your girls. And I am sorry to Mrs. Whitman. Elias set the rifle down against the gate post. Bullard. Yes, Mr. Carter. Bring the quilt in. Bullard brought the quilt in. He stayed for coffee. He left at noon. He had not said anything that mattered after the apology, but he had stayed, which was its own thing. Clara held the quilt on her lap for a long time after he left. Mrs. Pritchard's stitches. Mrs. Pritchard's hands. The same hands that had measured Clara for a Christmas gown and then folded across the front of a dress in a square, while a rope cut Clara's wrists. Mrs. Hale. Yes, child. What do I do with this? You put it on the bed, child, the bed you sleep in, with the twins. Mrs. Hale, it was her. Put it on the bed, Clara. She did not bring it. He brought it. She sent it. That is the smallest brave thing she has ever done, but it is brave for her, and you will receive it as brave. You hear? Yes, ma'am. Mercy is a muscle, child. The town has not used theirs in 20 years. You are stronger than them. Carry it for a while. Clara put the quilt on the bed. That night, after the twins were asleep under it, Elias knocked on the doorframe. Clara? Yes. Walk with me. It's dark. I know. There's a moon. She got up. She wrapped a shawl around her shoulders. She went out into the yard with him. They walked to the gate. They leaned on it. Clara. Yes. I said the other day I had a thing to say to you. I said I was not going to say it yet. You did. I am going to say it now. All right. Clara, will you stay? Stay how? Stay the way a woman stays. Stay as my wife. Stay as the girl's mother. Stay as the woman of this house. Stay all the ways there are to stay. Clara did not answer right away. She looked at her hands on the gate. The wrist still wrapped the cotton clean, now the scab starting to heal underneath. Elias. Yes. Yes. That a yes. That a yes. On my own terms. What terms, Clara? My name. Clara Whitman is the name I rode under in your storm. Clara Whitman is the name your daughters first held the hand of. I will not lose her. I will be Clara Whitman Carter. Or I will be Clara Carter, who used to be Whitman, and who will say so when anyone asks. But Whitman does not die because I marry you, Elias. Jonas was a weak man. He was not a bad man. He gave me his name. I will not throw it in a fire because the town wants me to. That's one. All right. 2. I keep working. I am not a wife in a parlor. I am not a wife in a kitchen only. I am a wife in the chicken yard, and a wife in the goat pen, and a wife on a horse, and on the day I cannot ride anymore, you will dig the rows beside me. That is the deal. All right. 3. The girls. Anna and Elsie. Anna and Elsie. They are mine the day I marry you. They are mine all the way. If something happens to you, they do not go to a cousin. They do not go to a brother. They do not go to a court. They stay with me. We will write that down. Doc Henley will witness it. All right. 4. There is a girl in Silver Creek. Her name is Ruth. She is 11. Her mama died last spring, and her daddy drinks the way Jonas drank. The town will start calling her cursed in 3 years. She will be where I was in 10. I want her. I want her to have Sundays at this table. I want her to know there is a hill she can run to. I am not saying we take her tomorrow. I am saying that if the day comes, that day is a yes in this house. Not a we'll see. A long pause. Elias's hand on the gate had gone very still. Clara, where did you get that one? From 2 girls who told a town I was their mommy after meeting me for an hour. They taught me Elias. They taught me how fast you can decide to belong to somebody. So I am deciding too. Ruth is on the list. That's 4. Is there a 5? There is a 5. What is it? You sing. You sing in this house, Elias. Not just for Anna and Elsie. Not just at bedtime. You sing in the morning when you're at the stove. You sing at the wash basin. You hum at the fence. You let that song out, Elias Carter, because it has been locked up for 2 winters, and it does not belong to a grave. It belongs to your children, and to me, and to this hill. You sing. That is 5. He did not answer for a long, long minute. When he did, his voice was low. Clara. Yes. Yes to all 5. Pinky. Pinky. He held out his little finger. She hooked hers around it. They stood there at the gate like the twins, like Mrs. Hale, like a chain of promises tied hand to hand across a homestead in the dark. Elias. Yes. Now you can kiss me. I was going to ask. You don't have to ask. I just told you. Once. It is on the list. He kissed her at the gate under a moon that had seen worse hills and easier ones. And Clara Whitman, who had been a curse 3 days before, became something else inside that single quiet moment that had no witnesses but the goats and the gate and the wind that had nothing left to take from her. The wedding was on a Saturday 2 weeks later on the homestead. Doc Henley officiated. He was not a preacher, but the territory allowed it, and besides, no preacher in Silver Creek would have done it. And besides that, Clara had told Elias she would not stand under any man who had ever stood at Reverend Cole's elbow, and Doc Henley had stood under nobody but his own oath in 30 years. Mrs. Hale wore her good dress. The twins wore matching blue. Clara wore a dress Mrs. Pritchard had sent up the hill with a note that said, "Only I should not have measured you in summer and forgotten you in winter." Clara had read the note twice and burned it. Then she wore the dress. Mercy was a muscle. At the gate, an hour before the ceremony, a man stood, alone, hat in hand, Hank Wills. Elias saw him first. He walked down to the gate. He did not open it. Hank. Carter. You wasn't invited. I know. Then why are you here? Carter, I am here because I tied a rope around the woman who is about to become your wife. I am here because I have not slept 7 hours in 2 weeks. I am here because my own boy asked me last night at supper if I was the man who hurt Mrs. Whitman, and I had to say yes, and he would not look at me afterward. I am here because I can't have my boy not look at me, Carter. I can't. Elias did not speak. I am not asking to come in. I am asking to stand at this gate while it happens. So I can say when my boy asks me that I was there, that I saw her marry a good man, that I saw her happy. I will not come in. I will not speak. I will stand here. Then I will go home. A long silence. Hank. Yes. You stand. Thank you, Carter. And Hank. Yes. Tomorrow you come up with your boy, both of you. Mrs. Whitman will say hello to him. She will say nothing to you. You will eat nothing. You will drink coffee on this porch. You will let her see your boy's face. Then you will go home. That is how this starts. Carter, That is how this starts, Hank. Yes, Carter. Hank stood at the gate. He stood through the whole ceremony. Doc Henley did not officiate from a Bible. He officiated from a piece of paper Clara had written herself the night before by the fire with Anna asleep on her left and Elsie asleep on her right. Do you, Elias Carter, take Clara Whitman to be your wife, your partner, your fellow rider, the mother of your daughters by choice and not by accident, and the woman of this hill in all weather for all time? I do. Do you, Clara Whitman, take Elias Carter to be your husband, your partner, your fellow rider, the father of your daughters by choice and not by accident, and the man of this hill in all weather for all time? I do. Anna Carter, Elsie Carter. Yes, Doc. Do you take Clara Whitman to be your mother? We do. Both of you together. Both of us together. Then by the laws of the territory of Arizona and the witness of this household, and by no church in Silver Creek, you are family. You were already. Now it is written. Doc Henley folded the paper. He handed it to Clara. Clara held it in both hands. Anna stepped forward. Elsie stepped forward. Each took one of Clara's hands. They led her 3 steps to Elias. Elias took her hands from theirs. Clara Whitman Carter, he said. Only that. Elias Carter, she said. Only that. It was enough, Mrs. Hale cried. She had not cried in 20 years. She said so out loud into her apron, and Doc Henley patted her shoulder and looked the other way. Down at the gate, Hank Wills tipped his hat. He turned. He walked home. The twins ran inside ahead of everyone. They came back out carrying a piece of paper. Crayon. 2 children's handwriting side by side, the letters crooked the spelling brave. Clara is our mommy. We picked her. The end. Clara took the paper. She read it. She read it again. Anna. Yes. Elsie. Yes. When did you write this? The first night. Which first night? The night Daddy carried you in. The night you slept in the middle. We wrote it after. We didn't show Daddy. We were waiting. Waiting for what, baby? For today. Clara folded the paper. She put it in the front of her dress, over her heart, where it would stay for the rest of her life, and where on the day she died, many years later, on this same homestead, in a bed she had paid for with her own work in a room her granddaughter would sweep. They would find it still folded, the crayon faded, the meaning intact. But that was a long way off. For now, on this Saturday, on this hill, in a dress she had decided to wear, and a name she had refused to lose, and a family she had not been born into, but had earned twice over in a square and in a storm. Clara Whitman Carter stood on her own porch and watched the sun do whatever the sun does at the end of an Arizona afternoon. And Elias's hand was on the small of her back, and Anna's was in her left, and Elsie's was in her right, and Mrs. Hale was wiping her eyes on a dish towel in the doorway, and Doc Henley was riding back down the hill alone. And Silver Creek lay below, smaller than it had ever been, and quieter. And Clara Whitman Carter, who an entire town had thrown into the dirt, looked out at all of it, and said the only true thing left to say, "I am home." And she was. And she stayed. And no rope, no rumor, no reverend, no town, no whisper, no winter, and no name ever spoken in cruelty against her again. And there were a few in the years that came ever moved her 1 inch off that hill. Not 1 inch. Not ever.